ground control to Major Tom.
Welcome to Miss Mojo. And today, we're counting down our picks for the top 20 musicians who used a major style overhaul to start a successful new chapter in their career.
I'm still standing better than I ever did.
Number 20. Harry Styles. The clean-cut, fun-loving teen pop of One Direction was always going to come with an expiration date. When that day finally came, it was Harry Styles who truly made the most dramatic, stylistic U-turn. Going from sugary sweet pop star to something closer to glam rock is quite the pivot if you ask us. His early releases hinted that something a little more serious was on its way, but it was in his live shows that we saw Styles truly spread his wings. The fashion became more daring, the stage shows more elaborate, and as a result, his popularity as a solo performer hit a totally new level.
It's not the same as it was.
Number 19. Tori Amos. There was always something about Tori Amos that was destined for international success.
This is not really, this is not really happening.
Even in her earliest years as part of the band Why Can't Tori Read, her charisma and natural talent was clear. Prior to that, though, she underwent a symbolic and spiritual transformation after a breakup that would end up resulting in her signature look.
They had an idea that I could fit a rock jigsaw. So I listened.
For her, dyeing her hair red was a way of solidifying a newfound freedom and attitude towards those around her. Little did she know that it would become an integral part of the visual element of her art form. The rest is rock and roll history.
It's in my heart, it's sick of being in chains.
Number 18. Madonna. In pop music, you either follow the trend or become the trend.
Oh God, I think I'm falling.
For Madonna, she had her finger firmly on the pulse of what was happening in the early 1980s. But as the decade wore on, she knew something needed to change. So in the era of her album Like a Prayer, she reinvented herself, and it wouldn't be for the last time. This version of Madonna was truly more provocative and bolder in the way she presented herself in terms of her fashion and her music videos. To say that her gamble paid off would be an understatement. There's a reason she's called the Queen of Pop, folks. Number 17. Black Eyed Peas. One group who have undergone several dramatic switch-ups is the Black Eyed Peas. Once an alt-hip-hop group who were walking the same path as the likes of De La Soul and A Tribe Called Quest, the 2000s hit them like a train.
Don't move too fast, people, just take it slow. Don't get ahead, just jump into it. Y'all hear about it? The P's will do it.
With the addition of singer Fergie came a real push into the mainstream and a slicker, more marketable image to go with. Then, after a dominant run through the middle of the decade, they dove even further into the pool of pop music with 2009's The END.
I like that boom boom pow. Them chickens jocking my style. They try to copy my swagger. I'm on that next now.
By this point, they were utterly unrecognizable from their original form, but their record sales were well and truly through the roof. Number 16. Bjork. It's hard to imagine a world where Bjork wasn't one of music's most visually striking musicians.
You blow a fuse, sing from the time we cuts loose, sing from.
Upon making a splash as a member of the Sugar Cubes, Bjork's first album entitled Debut saw her present herself as a relatively straightforward experimental pop character, or at least straightforward compared to what would eventually follow. At this point, there were no extravagant costumes, just Bjork and her music. Of course, this legendary Icelandic artist had zero interest in playing it safe, and as soon as she could, she made a series of left turns into the deepest recesses of her craft.
We'll implode inwards towards destruction.
In other words, she became the Bjork we all know and love today. Number 15. Lady Gaga. After spending years plying her trade, when Lady Gaga finally announced herself to the world with 2008's album The Fame, she was already extremely accomplished.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas, please. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me.
However, her theatrical style and costumes weren't always there. Gaga was out working on songs, growing in confidence as a stage performer, and making connections long before her debut single dropped. Oh, and just in case you were wondering, yes, that lead single was Just Dance, a chart topper in several different countries. It just goes to show that patience can be a real virtue in the world of show business. Number 14. Marvin Gaye. During the height of the Motown era, Marvin Gaye was a hit machine, and although he had not truly flexed his artistic muscles, the results were consistently good.
Oh, baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough.
However, by the end of the 60s, Gaye had grown disillusioned with his clean-cut image and role as a cog in a larger machine. So, in the following decade, he branched out, taking the role of primary songwriter and decision-maker in his own career. He ditched his usual wardrobe, grew out his beard, and began to sing about the things he saw on the street every day. The resulting album was What's Going On?, a monumental artistic achievement in music.
What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Tell me what's going on.
As it turned out, Marvin was correct to assume that he had much more to give. Number 13. Pink. Although it was by no means a bad first impression, Pink would not truly single herself out from the crowd until she moved past her debut album, Can't Take Me Home. She was frustrated by the musical direction the record took and her own lack of creative control.
It's what every fly girl could want or even dream, but I'm not every girl.
So when her sophomore effort, Misunderstood, reintroduced her as a far edgier figure, it resonated a lot more. From there, Pink has not stayed in one place for too long, changing up her look and style repeatedly, which makes her enduring success no surprise whatsoever. Number 12. Chappell Roan. Considering how much of a sensation she was when she finally found her path, it's crazy to think that Chappell Roan didn't initially make a big impact. Her 2017 EP School Nights was not a bad first effort, but one of the biggest reasons for its lack of commercial success was probably that it didn't really single Roan out from the crowd.
We light firecrackers in the middle of the street. You hear them yelling at us, but you listen to me.
Any fears she had about going unnoticed were pretty confidently addressed with the 2020 single Pink Pony Club. Armed with a totally new aesthetic and musical direction, Chappell Roan was clearly bringing something fresh to the table.
It's hard when you have a meltdown in the front of your house and you're getting kicked out.
The fact that her debut album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, was so huge proved her correct 10 times over. Number 11. Katy Perry. There are not many artists in the world of music who can make a U-turn quite like the one pulled off by Katy Perry. Once known as Katie Hudson, believe it or not, she actually got her start in the world of Christian pop in 2001, releasing a self-titled debut that sold about 200 copies.
And you know all the secrets of my heart.
Jump forward to 2008 and her album One of the Boys left little doubt as to her pop appeal. All of a sudden, Perry was singing about kissing girls and boasting a very different image to the one she began with.
I kissed a girl and I liked it. The taste of her cherry chapstick.
The album was a humongous success, turning Perry into a household name and one of the biggest pop sensations of the 2010s. Number 10. Alanis Morissette. Alanis Morissette was not quite the instant success that you might think. Her first two albums weren't indicative of the alt-rock angst that would eventually follow. when she finally dropped her more clean-cut image after album number 2 failed to break through internationally, the Alanis we all know and love was born.
And I'm here to remind you of the mess you left when you went away.
Jagged Little Pill was one of the biggest sensations of the 1990s, a bona fide classic of the era. Gone was the dance pop that had filled her first 2 albums, and in its place, a truly dark and attitude-heavy sound that proved to be an instant hit. The change in sound was accompanied by a change in look, which was darker, grungier, and less frothy.
And isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Number 9. Kiss. Kiss made their start in the early 1970s, originally coming from the ashes of Wicked Lester, a band which included frontmen Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
We wanna shout it out loud, but we can't let people know.
They recorded a single album under that name, but it was shelved by their record label, never to see the light of day. Simmons and Stanley realized they needed to change their direction and do something to make them stand out.
And I can't get enough of you, baby. Can you get enough of me?
And so the addition of Peter Criss and Ace Frehley came with some experimental makeup and costumes. The rest, as they say, is rock and roll history. Kiss briefly took off their makeup in the 80s, but in general, it is a huge part of their image and appeal. Number 8. Miley Cyrus. Shedding the reputation you've spent your whole adolescent life building is a tough task. But for Miley Cyrus, watching her distance herself from her Hannah Montana moniker has been quite the experience.
Mix it all together and you know that it's the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds.
As Miley grew up, her style changed just as much as her priorities as an artist. However, after hinting at a change in tone in her 2010 album, Can't Be Tamed, Cyrus, well and truly ripped up the playbook with her 2013 release, Bangers.
We can't stop, and we won't stop.
Bolstered by singles Wrecking Ball and We Can't Stop, and sporting a new provocative look, Cyrus found a totally new level of success. And she followed that momentum all the way through the decade and into the 2020s. Number 7. Lou Reed. Lou Reed finally hit a wall with his band Velvet Underground as the 60s came to a close.
Thousand dreams that would await me.
After 4 albums, it just didn't seem as though commercial success was in their future. So Reed decided to carve out his own path, enlisting David Bowie and Mick Ronson as the producers for his first major solo success, Transformer.
Hey, babe, you take a walk on the wild side. Oh, honey, you take a walk on the wild side.
The album and its tour saw Reed jump on board with the ongoing glam rock movement, introducing bleached blonde hair and makeup to his look. The songs themselves, of course, stood out. However, Reed's willingness to ditch his sunglasses and dark attire in favor of something a little more colorful kickstarted his acclaimed solo career. Number 6. Elvis Presley. During the 60s, Elvis Presley seemed to prefer movie roles to music, and even though he made a successful return to the stage in 1968 for his comeback special, he still needed to find a new spark. While it wasn't instantaneous, eventually the next period of Presley's career would present some results. Suspicious Minds was Elvis's first #1 hit in years, and a series of highly lucrative concerts and extravagant stage productions signaled the beginning of a new chapter in his story, one with a much flashier look. Ultimately, this run of Vegas residency shows would burn him out to the point that it contributed to his untimely death. Even still, when the day came, there was no doubt in anyone's mind who the king was.
And you light my morning sky, burning up.
Number 5. Elton John. Elton John came onto the scene with a pretty regular everyman kind of appearance.
Fly away, skyline pigeon fly.
However, after proving his compositional chops on his early records, John became one of the most sought-after performers on the entire planet when he glammed up his image considerably. From the mid-70s onwards, Elton really let himself get loose with his fashion.
He's my brother, let us live in peace. Oh.
All of a sudden, a ticket to see Elton John in concert bought you a lot more than just a musical experience. The stage shows became more flamboyant, his costumes were increasingly eye-catching, and of course, John's revenues well and truly soared.
Hold me closer, tiny dancer.
Number 4. The Bee Gees. On the long list of inspired musical left turns, who can forget just how shocked the Bee Gees left the world when they pivoted from soft rock and folk to disco in 1975?
With all your job talking, telling me lies.
In the 2 years before that, the band had been struggling to replicate their earlier chart success, making the need for a change as clear as day. What we didn't see coming was a move from their original style to all-out disco, complete with an appropriate new sense of fashion. And the biggest shock of all, the Bee Gees became a dominant force in the late 70s, contributing some of the most essential songs in the entire genre. Is there a more well-known disco song than Stayin' Alive? We're not sure that there is. Number 3. Tina Turner. There might not be a single greater return to form than the one pulled off by the legendary Tina Turner.
Big wheels keep on turning. Proud Mary keep on burning.
She carved out success initially as part of a duo with her husband Ike Turner. Years of abuse at his hands led her to leave him in 1976, and her first 2 solo albums failed commercially. Turner was dropped by her label and took 5 years to make a third try at a solo success.
I'm your private dancer, a dancer for money.
Thankfully, that album was 1984's Private Dancer, a multi-platinum release that saw her climb back up to the top of the charts. The album had a maturity to it, which was reflected in Turner's new appearance as well. After years of uncertainty, Turner had pulled off the unthinkable.
One love, but a sweet old-fashioned notion. What's love got to do with it?
Number 2. The Beatles. The Beatles managed to earn a level of fame that was totally unheard of in the early 60s. But the effect of being that very same group for even a second longer would have ruined them.
And now my life has changed in so many ways.
For John, Paul, George, and Ringo, their music was everything. So when their adoring fans screamed so loud at their concerts that they couldn't even hear themselves play, they made the sensible decision to retire from touring.
Penny Lane is in my ear and in my eye.
But that wasn't the only thing they did. The Beatles truly matured in the mid-60s, growing out their hair, changing their clothing styles, and becoming 4 individuals instead of one corporate package. We're glad they did too, because for many people, their best music was released after they made this move.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to Strawberry Field.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. David Bowie. David Bowie was no stranger to changing his image.
Put on your red shoes and dance the blues.
While we could talk about his time as the Thin White Duke or his later move to new wave-infused disco on the album Let's Dance, Bowie's most significant switch-up came a lot earlier. After failing to make a mark for most of the late 60s, he finally found chart success with Space Oddity. But it wasn't a formula that would last.
And the stars look very different today.
Despite releasing the excellent The Man Who Sold the World, Bowie wouldn't find his true sticking power as a rock star until he became Ziggy Stardust. The glam roots were first planted on the album Hunky Dory, but everything after that saw Bowie expressing himself through his image in the most perfect way imaginable. But what musical style switch-up springs to mind first for you? Let us know in the comments below.